Good evening, people. I don't know if you guys. Yeah, good evening. Welcome back to another stream on the channel, man. Gameweek 46 review. We've got, listen, when I say plenty, I mean plenty of things to discuss, man. But yeah, man, we're back with another stream. Obviously, we're back with a gaming review. I think it's been a long time now. So yeah, we're back. Yeah, listen, let's get straight into it. Let's start adding the guest. First of all, is Manny. Hang on, let me add him now. Hang on. Wait, there we go. Manny, how you doing, man? Oh, God, let's go. There we go. Manny, how you doing?
It happens. Yeah, good, son. Good. And as I said, I'm here to face the music and do not say that I'm in hiding. I'm here and I'm ready.
I'm not. Manny, do you have any fish near that you can fry? Or I don't know, man. I don't know. Because also fans, bigger fish, to fry.
Yeah.
So
First of all, I already had my dinner. And even if I would have any fish to fry, I don't have any in my fridge. If I want to have any fish, I'm going to have to do some shopping tomorrow. Also, when it comes to the fish you can fry, you have to fry it very carefully. But I actually prefer fried chicken.
yeah, exactly, man, exactly. We do have a new panel today on the channel. Yeah, man, he's making his debut. I think it's from TJ Warren. It is Connor, man. Be up to you. How you doing?
I'm all, I'm good in myself, but in my club I'm not good. But thank you very much for having me on your show, man. I really appreciate it. Man. But yeah, it is what it is. The Arsenal way at the moment. We seem to bottle everything at the moment, every season. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
100%. But yeah, listen, no worries, man. Big up for joining. And yeah, man, listen, plenty of things to talk about. We're going to go through the comments first, and then we'll touch on the games. KB Sports says, I don't want to hear any excuses from Top Gunners tonight. We bottled it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, KB, listen, hold on. One thing I'm going to say right now, KB, is that when it comes to Connor and I, you will never, ever use the word Top Gunners to describe us. We are far evolved beyond that lot, okay? No excuses.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. Listen, I would never call any a top gun, anyways. But yeah, listen, here's what it is. All Connor as well, because I've watched Connor on TJ's show. And listen, none of these are top gunners, man. But yeah.
Not just TJ's show, Horace. He's come on Del Boy's show, and I think yesterday he was on Jez Collins' channel along with Matt Odom, the Southern Gooner, and that was also a pretty good watch. I kind of enjoyed it. Didn't see too much of it though, but yeah. So Connor and I do go some way back, and I actually got to know him before I knew you. But it's good to have both of us here. Thanks a lot for having us.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Obviously, few couldn't join today, but you know what? Two Arsenal fans, lovely, innit? Ryan says, "Hello, big up, bro. Make sure you smash. Yeah, exactly, man. Smash the likes, guys, and do subscribe. 100%, man." So Ryan says it for you guys. So big up to you, and make sure you guys do check out the channel. TJ Warren, the main man. Big up to Connor. Big up to you, TJ. He says, "Connor, my guy, making the Orange League."
Cheers, TJ.
Yeah, it had to happen. Here we go. For it, Simon. Here we go. So, 100%. I'll go, Manny.
No, I was actually making the sign. T.
Oh, okay.
J.
Okay.
Big up.
Yeah. But there's also Cushmax is George. Chelsea Grinch. I think it's talking about JPT, but yeah. TJ says Connor is very much his own man. He's an absolute legend. Exactly, man.
Cheers, TJ.
Yeah, man. Listen, we have to start, man. We have to start. Arsenal game. Listen. Manny, what on earth happened in this game, man? What on earth? Like, the Zerbi, he had
happened
him after the Everton game saying, you're going to see the real Brighton. So, I don't know if does he know before Arsenal that he knows the real Brighton will happen.
I think it was really, Oris, the reaction to a Brighton team that has overachieved this season, getting spanked at home by a team fighting for their lives in a relegation dogfight. And what he saw from his charges that day was not the Brighton he was accustomed to seeing. And he knew that there would be a response. That's what he said. He made sure it happened. The players also, to a man, made sure they didn't let their manager down. As for us, well, it's amazing, Orest, how we went from being cocky and arrogant before games against the likes of West Ham, Southampton, and Manchester City, I think, to being dependent on Everton, lowly Everton, trying to pull off a result against City. Because if the stories are true that when the lads heard the result coming from Goodison Park that Manchester United had creamed Everton in what was a nice episode of the Ilkay Gundogan show with Erling Haaland playing a supporting role, then more fool the players. Shame on all of them. How dare these idiots who had their chests puffed out. I'm not just talking about the fans, by the way. The players also have to bear some responsibility here. They knew that they were in a fight, in a title fight. They knew that this should have been their opportunity, given that we beat Brighton at their home ground earlier this season, to make sure that we would perform well in our penultimate home game of the season and keep the race alive. It was as if, even in as much as in the first half, we had some more chances and could have taken the lead if we had put them away. We also were getting kicked off, and we just didn't seem to be able to respond well to Brighton's game plan, which was clearly to knock us off our stride. I don't want to hear any sour grapes of how, we missed Alexander Zinchenko. It was right that he, sat out a few games. Of course, being injured, he probably wouldn't have been able to play anyway. And the way he was being caught out of position, despite helping to maintain possession in midfield, whatever, in the last few games, he had to be dropped and Tierney had to be brought. And while I will agree with a lot of people that Tierney was responsible in some ways for the first goal by, not heading the ball away convincingly, in reality, when it came to the defense, he really was, probably the best of a bad bunch. And I say this because when it came to the first goal, when Gabriel Magalhaes was on his man and saw his teammate Jakub Kiwior on the floor, the very least he should have done was also run to support his teammate, with Tierney being out of position. And what about Ben White? Where was he? And I think in the second half, we completely lost our defensive shape. We just didn't seem to have any sort of urgency. And the concentration was just lacking. And a lot of people have been praising Aaron Ramsdale to the skies, but once again, he put in the type of performance which has made a lot of people wondering whether or not he's actually started to believe his own hype and think he's better than he is. People have been drooling over his camera saves, but if you look closely, in many of his games, he'll make 2 fine saves and balance that out with a pretty poor error. And I've seen that he's got some deficiencies to his game as a goalkeeper, but he starts for Arsenal because he fits the system perfectly, just like Zinchenko. And when the system is broken, what happens? What happened against City, what happened against Southampton, was that our system got completely demolished with long balls being played over the top and people breaking our high line and matching onto them and scoring. And it happened at Old Trafford against Manchester United. And yet, a smart manager would have the ability to adopt a horses for courses approach and say, listen, if I have to be without Alexander Zinchenko, I can't play the system I want to play. I can't force him to try and get into the role that Zinchenko plays. I have to play a different, more pragmatic system. If Pep Guardiola can do that, why couldn't Arteta? I know the answer. Because Guardiola has a much better squad. And yet, whose fault is it that Arsenal doesn't have that squad that can compete? In a nutshell, Orest, you're not going to get any excuses for me. You're just going to get straight talk. We basically proved with this performance on Sunday that when it comes to the crunch, we just don't have the temperament. And several of our much vaunted players, I don't know what you're trying to say, Orest. You're talking into, oh yeah, you're muted, but thank goodness. Many of our much vaunted players have so far failed to stand up and be counted when the going got tough. And do not presume to get me started on the fans. same fans who were tutting people like Connor and myself, saying, trust the process. If you can't trust the process, if you don't want to support our team, if you don't want to take pride in our team for what we've done this season, you don't deserve to call yourselves fans, and we don't want to see you at the Emirates. And these idiots got up and left the stadium after Undav scored that second goal. And this particular game, more than the Southampton game and the Manchester City game, has pretty much summed up how all of the good fortune that we've had has sort of run out. And there's a proverb that I always say: good fortune may get you to the top. It's not going to keep you there. And you can't keep depending on things going your way all the time. And we simply haven't merited being able to win the league. It's been a good run. We've been put through the ringer, a bit like a roller coaster, but frankly, I can't stand those contraptions. I despise them a great deal, and I suppose we do have the consolation prize of Champions League football. Another 10-2 aggregate score against Bayern Munich. Whoopee! We need serious changes. We need a squad clear out. And as for Mikel Arteta, I think Connor's pretty much nailed it when he said that the owners shouldn't really be brought into discussion because, they're pretty much doing their own thing. But Arteta also has to be given some semblance of blame for the fact that the squad has not evolved, that we haven't been able to improve our quality, and for all the talk how he's changed the culture, he's actually changed it for the worse and brought about a new form of toxicity, where some of these much vaunted players in the team actually think they're better than they are. They're believing their own hype, and they've just been brought crashing down. That arrogance and complacency will leave you flat on your backside when you least want it. I only hope that the manager and the players learn from this and say, you know what? We cannot afford to be arrogant. We cannot afford to be complacent. We cannot afford to take things for granted. And we sure as eggs cannot afford to disrespect any of our opponents. Next season, we go again. This time, we'll make a go of it. And we need to make sure that we do all of our fans justice, not just the fans who love us, but the fans who criticize us. Because even the fans who criticize us only have the club's interest at heart. If they can show some more humility next season, I hope they'll go all the way.
100%, man. 100%. Yeah, man. I'm going to go through comments now. I've got, obviously, Connor's thoughts. Right. Arsenal Forever says, RS Money, Connor, big up to you guys. Big up to Arsenal Forever, man. Always in here in the comments. He says, in 7 years, Arsenal have spent £1 billion and we couldn't even win the league title or Carabao Cup or the Europa League. Success is all about winning. The thing is, you say Carabao Cup, but then Man United win, and then got Royal fans saying to us, but it's a Mickey Mouse trophy. Like, I get it. But yeah, so silver needs to be like the aim.
By the way, that statement was ridiculous, by the way, because I know who it came from. And that's why I find these people with massive platforms symbolizing our club as fans disappointing. Because if we won that League Cup, that wouldn't have been said. That would not have been said whatsoever. But yet, because we haven't won it and Man United have, all of a sudden it's not a trophy. It's not even like that. That just makes zero sense to me whatsoever. I'd take a League Cup any day of the week at this point. Sorry, just
sour grapes.
Yeah, it gets me fuming. They can't hack that. Other teams are progressing well, like Ten Hag. It is statistically, people are having a go at Ten Hag saying, "Oh, he's had a worse season than Ollie." He's got a trophy quicker than Ollie. He's actually got a trophy. I rate Ten Hag. I think he can take United places. I do think he needs time, though. I do think United do have to work with him. And the way I do see them progressing is through new owners, in my opinion, preferably obviously the Qataris. But yeah, that was a disgrace. We all know who said it, and the fact that he is a symbol of who our fans are in terms of how big his platform is, and he said that, I found it disgraceful. Because the amount of time, because if we beat City when we were in the final against them in what was it, 2018, 2019, something like that? No, I think it was 2017. If we won it that season, we wouldn't have heard that's a Mickey Mouse trophy then. So listen, is what it is. Trophy's a trophy, however you win it.
There you go, man. Listen, this is facts right there, man. Because with Arsenal fans, definitely not YouTube, but what I see from Twitter is, I'd rather finish second than where United are right now. And then when I look at that, listen, I ignore those tweets, man. Listen, they get onto me. But listen, you're absolutely right about Ten Hag. Like, I'm a massive fan of him. Like, I support him, but see, these United fans are saying, if he keeps De Gea, I'm Ten Hag. Listen.
No, quick, I'll bounce on that. De Gea, now listen, he's not the best shot stopper, but by God, this guy has saved you so many times. I don't think United would be in the position they were now if it wasn't for Rashford and De Gea. I don't think they'd be third. And like, if people are calling for De Gea's head and saying, because if he gets a contract extension, they're all going to say Ten Hag out. And I'm like, what? Like, this guy is literally one of the main reasons. I know he has his moments, and people can make compilations about all of his errors, but he is a core member of that United team. Yes, would I like to see maybe a goalkeeper come in and possibly take over from him eventually? Yeah, I think that would work in United's favour. But he gets so much disrespect, in my opinion, De Gea. I think he's a quality goalkeeper, and when he wants to be, I think he's quality. And doesn't he have near enough clean sheets over Alisson or something this season? Or does he have the most clean sheets? Sorry, he's on the thing for Golden Glove now, and I'm thinking, what? Like, why do you want his head so much? Just because he makes a couple errors, and it's just like, and yeah, when he makes errors, they are reckless ones. I'm gonna keep it real, but not in a sense of where you want his head for it. Like, he's kept Man United in so many good situations, and in my opinion, has kept them where they are this season in terms of look at the clean sheets. Yeah, sorry, I don't keep meaning to jump in, but yeah, he gets mad disrespect, in my opinion, De Gea. I think on his day he's quality, in my opinion, anyway.
100%. Obviously, United talk. We'll go into that later. But yeah, listen, 100% we agree on, man, because I don't know if you guys seen it, but it's already confirmed that De Gea has won the Golden Glove. So I know that doesn't mean anything, but it just shows you that he has kept us in most games. But back to the mighty Red Army Arsenal. Connor, man, listen, obviously I saw some parts yesterday, but listen, if you want to go have a rant, listen, I allow people any swear words if they want, because I'm the United fan. But listen, go for it.
Yeah, I tried to keep my composure to say that. I mean, yesterday I think I got a bit riled up yesterday because do you know what? Yeah, in my opinion, I mean, I've said this before. In my opinion, the season was done after that 4-1 loss. In my opinion, after that City game, I said, nah, they're the winners. They're the team who should be lifting that Premier League title. In my opinion, yes, we've played good football. Some players have really stood out this season. I think Odegaard's had a fantastic season, although he has gone missing in some games. Majority of the time, he's been fantastic. I think Saka's had a great season. It's just unfortunate he's disappeared recently. We've had a good season in terms of how we played football. Unfortunately, in the last month or a month and a half, we've just completely capitulated. And honestly, I don't know what it's down to. I mean, if we want to go back and talk City games, that City game with the 4-1, we played the exact same tactic that we played against them in the last 2-3 times we played them this season. 2 times even because we played them in the FA Cup, sorry. You know, you can't go and play City with the same tactic knowing you're going to lose again, you know? So that was that. Tactical errors. Brighton, I thought, was a disgrace. The fact that I thought at least this team, with the performances they've given out this season, I thought they'd go out with a bit of a fight, maybe get 3 points behind, finish 3 points behind City, maybe 4, depending on if they win their game in hand. You know, I thought, let's go out with a bit of fight. That game completely showed that they didn't want to go out with a bit of fight. And they knew in themselves. I bet you for a fact they were sat down. They were all at the Emirates before the game, and they were watching that Everton Man City game. And as soon as they saw that Gundogan goal and the Haaland goal, they thought, yeah, do you know what? Screw this. We're not going to play. Absolute disgrace. And I could tell as soon as we walked, because that was the most boring half of football I've seen Arsenal play this season. And I knew as soon as they walked into that dressing room, I said, nah, they're not going to go out there and get 3 points. And it's such a shame. It is such a shame because I really thought they could go and at least try and go for it because they mucked it up against West Ham and Southampton. I'll give Liverpool the benefit of the doubt because it is Liverpool, and that is our first point at Anfield since, 2012? But no, Southampton and West Ham, that was a disgrace. And it's just such a shame how we can have a season like we've had now, but we always find a way to ruin it. No trophies, no cups, no European trophies, I mean, West Ham are currently on for a European trophy, and I find it quite funny how some Arsenal fans can take the mick and say it was only the Conference League. I'm sorry. When was the last time we won a European trophy? Never. And I don't count the Cup Winners' Cup because we're not. That's been abolished now. So I'm not even going to count that as a European trophy. If West Ham win that trophy come end of season, they've had a better season than us. Would I rather have Arsenal where West Ham are right now? If they're going to win a European trophy, I'd take it. Because I'm sorry, I'd rather win a European trophy, end up in Europa League, because at least we can somewhat compete in it. Because I don't think we're going to compete in the Champions League next season. I'm sorry, I don't think we are. I don't think we'll have the facility for it. And I just don't think that we'll have the players ready for it, in my opinion. I mean, I'm seeing reports today about a 200 million war chest. I'm thinking, we spend that every season. Why? What war chest? I mean, we're now linked with Declan Rice apparently going to pay 90 to 100 million. That's half of it gone, you know? And we're selling Granit Xhaka for 15 million after 7 years of having him. 15 million. I know he ain't great. He's had a good season for us. I'm not going to take that away from him. And he's actually had no red cards this season as well, which is an achievement for him. But the fact we're going to do business this season in terms of outgoings. But I'm telling you, I don't think we'll get more than maybe 15 million for each player. Because in my opinion, I just don't think Edu can do it. You know, unfortunately, our business has been very poor recently, especially with outgoings. I mean, we've had many a time when players have been. We've had to actually terminate player contracts because we just can't sell them. We physically can't sell them. We've bought in this Brazilian fella, Marquinhos, sent him out on loan to Norwich when we could have got him for free, but we paid them $3 million to keep good relationships. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? You know, so there's so much that needs to be done. I'm not looking forward to next season because I can't be asked for the same thing again. I give Arteta his credit for what he's done with this team because let's be real, if we were sat here in August of last year and said Arsenal are going to get second and get Champions League, we'd have all probably laughed. So respect to Arteta for where he got us this season. But I'm sorry, mate, you haven't won us a trophy. And you threw away everything else. And that can't be slept on. You've thrown away. He threw away, which I think we could have really competed in Europa League this season. I really thought this is the season we're going to go for it now. Because I'm sorry, 4 or 5 seasons in it, you can't be taking the mick now. You've got to go for it. And he threw it away. Carabao Cup was a disgrace against Brighton. For our third best goalkeeper, our third line goalkeeper in Cole Hine. The lineup was a disgrace. That showed that he didn't care about that. You know? So I just feel like it's going to be the exact same story next year. And I'm worried that we're not even going to be able to do what we've done this season, next season. You know, it's all these little things because I'm hearing a lot of people saying, you know, Liverpool are having an off season. United are getting into the swing of things. You know, Newcastle are now building their structures. You know, people are saying maybe Chelsea might be back. You know, I'm worried if we're going to be able to compete again next season. You know, and it's just such a shame. It's such a shame, man, because I'm sorry you can't go for how many weeks was it? 32 weeks in first, and you've thrown it away like that. And it's such a shame, man. And now I've got to deal all summer with all my mates, United mates, Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool, giving me all that biggest bottle. And we are. I've got to affirm it. We are, because it's my club letting me down again, you know. It's the letting me down. Just when I think we're on a high, we're really going for it. Really good. We're going to get a league title because I'm only 19. I haven't seen a league title. Well, I have, but I was 6 months old, 5 months old when we won a league title. You know, so it's such a shame. And there, Arsenal Vera, Rice and Caicedo, 170 million. That's 30 mil left in the war chest. What are we going to do now? Oh, no. I mean, it's not like we spend 150 to 200 million every season. No. You know, I honestly don't know what we're going to do. It's such a shame that the season's ended like this. I'm not even looking forward to Forest or Wolves because if anyone even has hope that City are going to drop points, they're a machine, mate. Absolute machine. And fair play to them. They're the better team. Better manager, in my opinion. It's obviously very clear. Better team, better manager, better system. So many things gone wrong this season, and you can't blame that Brighton game to injuries because they've had pretty much half their first team out. Solly March was out. 2 of their defenders are out. Tarek Lamptey's still out. Webster's still out. You know, they've had to pay Caicedo at right back, who, by the way, absolutely killed it. And Arsenal fans who are going for Caicedo, saying, oh, that tackle on Martinelli was filth. If you checked back 5 minutes earlier, Martinelli pretty much done an even worse challenge on Caicedo, which should have been a red card, by the way. That he should have been sent off. We got very lucky there. But you don't see any Arsenal fans bringing that up. That should have been a red card. and you can call what he got back. Unfortunately, that's karma. It's a contact sport. And to be fair to Caicedo, he actually came out and apologised for it. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't have done that tackle. Fair play to him. But now I see all Arsenal fans going for him. You shouldn't have done it. You're a prick. But these are going to be the same guys if we sign him in this summer. Oh, welcome. We love you so much. And it's just the same boring thing. To wrap it up, in my opinion, it's a disgrace the way the players played the other day to go out of this, in my opinion, fantastic performance season where I really thought we could have won it. I'm not looking forward to next season. I think the Champions League, we're now in pot 2, so we're not even in pot 1. So we could get drawn with the likes of maybe Dortmund in our group as well, with a league winning side in pot 1. So I'm not even ready for it. I'm looking forward to Champions League nights, but I'm not looking forward to probably getting battered in every single one of them, which I think we are. And if we even get past the group stage, I wouldn't even see us getting past the round of 16. But I know Arteta isn't going to leave. Obviously, he's going to be here next season. And all I can ask is from Arteta, do it again, but win it. And actually win us. Win us something, please. Please win. Stop throwing everything away and just win us something. I'll take a League Cup. If United don't win the FA Cup, we're playing City in the Community Shield. So that's a great first game of the season, isn't it? I want to win that. So please, Arteta, if you're going to be here next season, which you are, please win us something, man, because I'm sick of it. And that's what I've got to say, man.
Yeah, let me just piggyback.
Go on, man. Yeah, go on.
Connor's been saying. Yeah, listen, I'm going to call out this idiot who we all know, Ty from AFTV.
Oh, yeah.
In 2020, this idiot had the nerve to say, Neil Maupay, you're a cheat, and I hope Brighton get relegated. Well, thanks to that cheat, Ty, we won the FA Cup. Because if Leno hadn't gotten injured, Martinez wouldn't have had the 15 games that he would remember for the rest of his life, and which sent him on his way to that brilliant career path he's had. And now, of course, he probably didn't come out and call Moises Caicedo a cheat, and you pretty much hit the nail on the head. If he ends up coming to the Arsenal, I think people might welcome him. I don't know. And one thing which I always keep telling people, Connor, is that it's a marathon and not a sprint. And here's the thing. You mentioned that you were 5 months old when we won the Invincible League.
Yeah.
Since then, you've seen seasons where we've done well, started brilliantly, were topped by a certain point in time, but then floundered. And that's why the fans like you and me, we know the score. We know that it isn't over until the end of the season. We know it isn't over until mathematically it is decided that we either win or lose. And now, of course, we technically aren't mathematically denied the title, but we seriously can't see City slipping up. And there was some people on Twitter who were saying, if City draw against Chelsea and then lose against Brentford and Brighton and we win both our 2 games, we can still do it. Some of these people just are so detached from reality.
Did you know what, Manny? Sorry to interrupt you. Do you know why they're doing that? They're doing that to try and keep themselves happy in themselves. To think, but we still got this. And it's like, no, we don't. Do you not know who Man City are? They're going to destroy them. I'm sorry. Sorry, carry on your point there, Manny, but that just infuriates me when people do that.
No, it's all right. It's all right. I'm glad you mentioned that because you're spot on. They are saying that to make themselves feel better about themselves. But these are the same fans who walked out of the stadium before the game was over. And I think you pretty much said it, as have several other people. You were the ones who trusted the process. You were the ones who chided us for not being willing to support this process. You should have stayed there till the end and at least applauded your players, or at the very least, made your dissatisfaction very clear, because those players deserved to be booed. But I think a lot of these top gooners and so-called fans have shown themselves for who they are, and I hope that they will think twice before tutting us again. And yet, knowing them as well as you and I, they're still going to be exactly the same. Zebras will never change their stripes.
100%. And that's the funny thing. If it was the other way around and we were winning 3-0, because I've seen, because I don't try and pay much attention to Twitter. I'm on it. I'm barely on it because I just can't stand it. But I've seen some excuses for people that left the stadium early, because more than half of the Arsenal fan base were gone. And I want to make it clear. some of the excuses were, oh, we had to leave. We had this to get to, early train. If it was the other way around and it was 3-0, you'd have been there. If it was 3-0 to us, you'd have been there. You wouldn't have gone. You'd have been there. And I'm just thinking to myself, I would absolutely kill for an Arsenal season ticket. I would do anything for an Arsenal season ticket. And the fact that all these people have the audacity to leave that stadium, not even if I was there, I'd have stayed there and I'd have booed every single one of them players. And I'd have told them how I felt. I'd have chanted how I would have felt. I'd said it's an absolute disgrace that you think you can walk out on our home ground, by the way, not the Amex, the Emirates Stadium, after this season of what they've done and what they've been trying to achieve, and just throw it away like we're in 10th. It was absolutely disgraceful, and I couldn't even care what the results are against Forest and Wolves, because in my opinion, I don't even think they'll turn up for it. I don't even think they'll even bother. I think those next 2 games we're going to play will be the most boring games of football we're ever going to watch, because we're either going to get smashed or we're just not going to care. Because what's there to care about anymore? Because they're not going to care, are they? Because that performance against Brighton showed it. That Brighton team was so weak, in my opinion, with the amount of injuries they've got. That defence of Levi Colwill and not even a proper right back. And Arteta didn't even think to just send Saka or Trossard down that right and just press it and attack it, because he didn't actually have experienced or a defender there. If I can see it, why can't he? It's moments like that. And not one player, I think only Saka has come out and actually explained themselves after that game. None of them have come out on social media. None of them done an interview. Odegaard didn't do an interview after the game because he is the club captain after all. He's meant to be the leader. If you're the club captain, you come out and you speak about what just happened, because you can't just write it off. Because in a sense, we were still in the race for the Premier League. But because, and I believe what people are saying, I bet you for a fact they had the Everton City game on and they saw it and they thought, nah, it's done. Can't be arsed now. Because that was a different Arsenal I saw on Sunday. That wasn't the Arsenal I've seen this season. That was the Arsenal of seasons prior. Because that wasn't my team that played this season on Sunday. But yeah, it's what it is.
We're going to just go through the comments, and then obviously I'll let Melanie chip in as well. Cool, let me just skip that comment. I already went that. Oh, we've got some breaking news from Hardy. Appreciate that. Sheikh Al Thani has made an extraordinary 11th hour take it or leave offer for the club. Oi. Breaking Al Thani has made. Yep. Mike Keegan. Yeah, listen. We'll see. I'm not gonna get gassed. We'll see what happens, man. Because I'm fed up with this takeover situation, man. I really am. Hardy. Actually, no. I'm gonna go over this comment. Football obviously says, what was your expectation at the beginning of the season? Be honest. So, Manny, what was your expectation for Arsenal this season? Oh, your meat, Manny, your meat.
Saw that. Yeah. Before I answer this question, football overseas, I know the context in which you're asking the question. I am sick to my stomach of people trying to ask the question to fans like Conrad and myself, saying, you know what? Given what you might have wanted and what you ended up getting, we should be grateful. I think you'll find that many of us, myself included, were hoping for a return to Champions League football via the top 4 or the Europa League trophy. The FA Cup or the League Cup, as nice as it would have been, wouldn't have cut it for me personally. Now, I was eager to give Arteta his credit for doing as well as he did in the season, but it was disgusting to see how he disrespected the cup competitions. But what really changed my mind about him was the Europa League. In the second leg, Sporting Club de Portugal had 2 of their players suspended, including the club captain Sebastian Coates. So we had an opportunity to make sure that we would come at them and make sure that we would seal our passage in this round. Instead, after taking the lead, we didn't take our chances. Aaron Ramsdale got punished for going walkabout by being lobbed from the halfway line, and then simply didn't have the penetration to score another goal. Antonio Adan, the ex-Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid goalkeeper, made some brilliant saves. And then, of course, he came up trumps in the penalty shootout while our golden boy Ramsdale couldn't even save a penalty. He saved at least 2, and we ended up losing. And there were more than a few players in that game whose performances were also diabolical. But also his tactical naivety grated with me, and I made it very clear that unless we would win the title, he had to resign. But now, of course, we all know everyone's in on this. It's a huge love-in, so he's not going anywhere, and he will have one more season. So as I said, my expectation at the beginning of the season was top 4 and or a trophy. If we won the Europa League, we'd get into the Champions League. If we got both, it would be a successful season. But expectations change as the season goes along. Look at 2016. That Leicester team which won the Premiership was a team which survived relegation almost by the skin of their teeth the previous season. They started winning all their games. They became early pace setters. They never lost their momentum, but they also never lost sight of the fact that it had to be one game at a time. They were never entertaining thoughts about winning the league until they passed all of their major tests, and they knew that mathematically it was more than 80 to 90% in their favour. As for us, our fans kept on crowing about how we would win the league and crowing about how Super Mick Arteta knew exactly what we need, because he changed the system with Zinchenko at attack and Jesus in attack, and yet we still haven't won the league. And another reason why we haven't won it is that when the situation demanded that we strengthen the squad and show that we were serious about trying to win the league, we failed to do so. And I don't believe we're going to get Rice or Caicedo next season. These are just headlines to try to gas up everything up and make the fans excited. But as Connor's mentioned, with that 200 million bob war chest, if Rice and Caicedo are going to almost wipe that out, I really don't think we're going to end up getting them. And more money is going to be needed. And it's going to be the same thing again and again and again. And also, when you consider that we sacked Unai Emery, who took us in his first season to nearly to a top 4 before he himself choked it, and we have to call it a choke. We have to keep it real. And he took us to a Europa League final, only to choke on that. And then next season, we were hoping that he would better that, but sadly results weren't getting any better, and he had to leave. Why couldn't the same yardstick have been used with Arteta that was used with Emery? I'll tell you why. Because people have some sort of a love-in with Arteta. They call him a generational coach, the best-looking Spaniard we know, a former captain who's come back to revolutionise the club and take us and boldly take us where this Arsenal team has almost never gone before.
Yeah.
Shut your mouths and eat it, everyone. That didn't happen. So
100%.
please don't give these loaded questions. I agree that second place is somewhat better than fourth place, but the prize is the same. Still no trophy. We're still in the Champions League. And as Connor has mentioned, because we're unseeded, we might end up being stuck in the group with two big superpower teams, other superpower teams. So our progress from the group stage is not by any means guaranteed. And if we end up back in the Europa League, talk about being happy at exiting the Europa League for the Champions League, only to go back in there. Boy, is that going to be a come down. So I don't care about exceeding expectations. That really only carries clout or meaning if we are able to win a trophy and really make it a successful season. So while expectations may marginally have been exceeded, I am not going to agree with your insinuation that it was a successful season. I hope that answers your question, Football Overseas.
There we go, exactly. And obviously for you, Connor, your expectation at the beginning for Arsenal, was it similar to money?
Do you know what? I've got my I've got my Premier League table prediction. I think I put us in 5th, if I'm correct. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, I put us. No, actually, no. I put us in 4th. Yeah, I thought eventually we'd get Champions League. That was my aim. I wanted Champions League football because, what Mikel Arteta apparently said when he first arrived at Arsenal was, "I want to win the Champions League in 3 seasons." It's the 4th season now, by the way. So I said, "You're like, come on, it's time now. If you don't get Champions League, then I think I was saying, if you don't get Champions League, you got to go because it's been too long now." And his whole reign, he's been here. He hasn't even been to a final year of Europa League to even try and actually get into a Champions League place. Yeah, that's what I wanted to get. Preferably, I wanted a trophy, and I wanted to win the Europa League this season. And I know we've got second, and I know we've played good football, but we haven't won a trophy for it. And in the way that we've done it, if we weren't in the race that we were this season against Man City, and say we finished, 4th, I'd be happy we got Champions League football in a sense. I know the repercussions that we probably won't be able to compete in the next season, but for me, it's different because of the way we've now ended the season, because this is massive. Because we are now technically the biggest bottlers of the Premier League in God knows how, I think ever, since the Premier League was actually the Premier League. You know, that many weeks up ahead, and you've completely ruined it. So in my eyes, that's actually ruined the season, in my opinion. Second or nothing. And the fact that I completely agree with Arsenal forever, the fact that Arsenal fans are celebrating the Champions League, fair enough. We watch Champions League next season, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, whoopee-doo. But it's not going to be fun, is it, when we get whooped by these big teams? I don't understand what the excitement about it is. Because, yes, we'll play teams that aren't as near as these teams from Slovakia or Ireland or these leagues that no one really watches or heard of, and that's no disrespect. Like these Romanian teams, you know. We'll be playing teams that, you know, people have heard of in these different leagues, but at the end of the day, it's not going to feel good when we get knocked out by these teams like Bayern Munich 5-1. Like, how are people forgetting that? That's our last Champions League game we played when we got slapped by them 10-2 on aggregate. You know, so the fact, I just don't, in my opinion, I don't understand why some Arsenal fans are happy with the. Do you know what? Listen, I don't know. I'm not a soothsayer. We may go next season. We might win it. I don't know. Like, we don't know what football happens. When in my eyes, we're not. But you never know with football. But that would be the excuse. But you don't actually know what's going to happen. Well, I feel like I do, because if we can't even win the competition below in the Europa League, how the hell are we going to go ahead and compete in the one after that? And I'm more worried with the fact of we've got Champions League. We're going to have, normally when we were in the Europa League, we rotated, we put out our second team, because in no disrespect, the people in our group in the Europa League were pretty crap. And they were in leagues that we were meant to be beating. So we had the chance to rotate. In the Champions League, 7 times out of 10, you're not rotating your team. You're putting your strongest team out there, because you've got big teams to be playing against to get into that qualification round, to get into the knockouts. So God knows how the team's we're going to make some signings, but not enough, in my opinion. I don't think anyway. We need at least 7 signings, 6-7 signings in this window, probably 7, to at least try and get this team ready for this Champions League season, and trying to even withhold the Premier League as well as the Champions League. And I'm going to say it again, I don't understand. Sorry, I don't understand how Arsenal fans think now we're in the Champions League, we're going to sign big players. I'm going to say this sentence every show I go on until it gets heard. We were in the Champions League for 22 years of Arsene Wenger. Name more than 5 world-class players we signed whilst we were in that Champions League. Alexis Sanchez, name more. You can't. Is what it is. So, yeah, to answer your question, Oris, my prediction at the start of the season was Champions League, and I wanted to win the Europa League. We got Champions League, we didn't win the Europa League, but I'm sorry, in the way that we've fallen out, and the way that we have fallen out in a title race like we have, because we didn't even, no Arsenal fan thought we're going to be in a title race this season, and the way that we've done it, and the way that we've fallen out of it, and the way that we've thrown away every other cup, it's not a success in my opinion. Yes, we've played great football, the best football we've played in a while. Don't get me wrong. We've played some really good football. I've really enjoyed this season. But unfortunately, the way we've ended it, it's not a good season. And that's just me. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, 100%. Let me just run quickly for the comments, because we've been in Arsenal way too much. So, yeah, let me just quickly delve into the comments. Hardik says, well said, Manny and Connor. These Arteta inners are a huge issue. From the club standards, you should have already clinched the Premier League title. Arteta technically is incompetent. Yeah, 100%. Cowell isn't about defend at all. Arsenal Forever says they seen the Man City result against Everton and gave up, because that's what it looked like against Brighton. Yeah, that's true. Second favorite Arsenal fan saying we are back in the Champions League. We've been in the Champions League for 22 years and now won it, and we certainly won't win it with this manager. Probably not. Yeah, Arsenal needs a manager who's a serial winner. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Carlo Ancelotti, to be fair, but I don't know if he's going to go to Arsenal. Let's be honest, man. But yeah.
Yeah, the thing about Ancelotti, Aris, is that, look, he's been in the club management scene for donkey's years now. And I think it's fair to say that he will want to go out on a high this season with Real Madrid having won the Champions League. They are, of course, playing Manchester City tomorrow at the Etihad Stadium. A lot of people have been saying that with Haaland on fire and the home crowd behind them, you know, City could have the advantage. But beware Real Madrid. Last season, They came back from the dead and literally snatched it away from City. And this time around, if anything, the pressure's going to be completely on them. So I think Ancelotti will probably want to win the Champions League and then retire from club management. Whether he takes the management job with Brazil or even more bizarrely with Canada for 2026, I don't know. But I think that's him done with club management. Otherwise, I'd snap him up any day of the week and twice on a Sunday. I wouldn't even mind going for Thomas Tuchel. And you can laugh at me all you want, but that fella's a winner. And he's managed to finish the job, at least so far that Julian Nagelsmann started. And he seems to have, solved a few of the problems at Bayern Munich. I know that mathematically they're not champions yet, and they did have some good fortune, but still, he's done what he's needed to do. And next season, if he has a full season behind him, I think he could potentially cook. Arteta, of course, will have one more season with us, but I really want to see us cast the net wider for more managers. At least later on next season, we need to be really serious now about it, because let's face it, as much as Connor and I might despise Arteta, he's not going anywhere as long as the Cronkies are ruling the roost.
Yeah, 100%, man. You're spot on. Absolutely spot on. Cool. Yeah. Right. So why do you want to? I think that's a question. Answer for us. Yeah. Osvaldo says, Connor, exactly. We need 67 players in the summer. Well, let's see if Edu can do that. Let's see if Edu. Don Edu, as also top men said. Don Edu. So, yeah.
See what he does.
Yeah. Europa League teams aren't rubbish.
No, if you heard me, I said in no disrespect towards the teams, but let's be real. Compared to Arsenal, those teams aren't. They're teams that, in a sense, we need to be smashing every time. Because I'm sorry, if you're trying to say that Arsenal should be competing with the team for the Romanian League, I think one's called FSCB. Shows my FIFA knowledge. You can't be not competing with those guys every single time. And I'll go back to your thing up there, Huddersfield Town, mate. You saying, so you want to be in the top four if you don't want to be in the chat. So why do you want top four? I wanted top four, but I look at it in the long sight, and I just don't think we're going to be able. I want to be in the top four because Arsenal should be in Champions League. They should be. But unfortunately, the reason I don't think we're going to compete in it is, one, because I don't think we've got the players for it. And also, I don't think Arteta has the experience to take us through it. I know he's been with Pep, and I know that he's taken some knowledge of Pep into the Champions League. I don't think he's going to do it at all. But yeah, and bro, I'm sorry if I'm rattling your feathers, mate. But okay, yeah, I said that. Yeah, there's no disrespect towards the clubs. I'm not saying they're bad clubs. I'm just saying that they're teams we should be smashing every time in that group stage. And I never said anything wrong about the Europa League, mate. I just said we should be in the Champions League. So I'm sorry if I'm ruffling your feathers, mate. But can't handle the opinion, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on, Money.
No.
Again, sorry. I want to say it. I didn't mean any disrespect towards the teams, but I feel like my point is valid. It's same for Man United. Same for Chelsea. These are teams.
Yeah.
These teams. Fair play to them for getting into the European competition. But you're not going to see these teams get into the finals of these competitions. That's why, in my opinion, these are teams in the group stage which we should be smashing. But yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. 100%.
Yeah, bear in mind, we lost to PSV Eindhoven in the group stages and really only secured qualification as group winners by the skin of our teeth. So, in many ways, we also underachieved in this Europa League. Never mind the fact that we couldn't even get past a Sporting Lisbon team that had 2 players suspended. So, I'm definitely not saying that those teams are rubbish, because you've got to respect your opposition, no matter who it may be. But I think Connor's point stands in that, given our pedigree compared to some of those teams, we should have expected more from ourselves. We should have looked to try and respect the opposition enough to make sure that we give them a good game and do ourselves justice, and we failed to do that. So I think we're really, Ryan, trying to, criticize ourselves a lot more rather than really having a go at those teams.
100%, man. 100%. We're going to move over now, obviously. Comments, I'll get back to you later because we've talked about Arsenal. We'll do it quickly. Well, I'm going to say it's a good win for Arsenal. Good way to bounce back.
He dominated, mate. He dominated it.
Yeah, he did.
Wolves, they didn't have one shot on target, man. I'm like, what on earth? Like, obviously they got the odd cost up front, so I understand. But listen, we had to do our job, and we did. And yeah, 3 points. Garnacho obviously scoring, obviously Marchand. So yeah, listen, I'm happy, man. I'm happy. But yeah, man. I thought the defense was good. Obviously, listen, Wolves did not give us no threats at all, so I'm happy about the win. Top 4, do I feel like it is sealed? I do think so, yeah. I do think it is sealed, but obviously we just have to be a bit careful now because Liverpool, listen, if somehow Liverpool get top 4 and we don't, listen, guys, I'm going into hibernation for a few months. Let's say, listen, all United fans, not just me, but all United, even trolling Liverpool. Was, at one point, we were 13 points ahead of Liverpool. So listen, I don't think. Thing is, if I was to predict a team to drop out of top 4, I'll probably say Newcastle. But listen, let's see how Newcastle do. But yeah, listen, we got the job done, and yeah, De Gea obviously getting the Golden Glove. Listen, yeah, good win, man, good win for me. Listen. There's nothing much more to be fair. We just had to win because it's the Liverpool pressure and all that. So yeah, I'm happy, man. I'm happy with the boys. Do you guys want to touch on this game?
Yeah, no, I think you guys, because I've got a United mate, and he saw that Rashford was going to be out, and I said, "Yo, bro, don't stress." I mean, one thing about Rashford is I think it is quite disappointing he hasn't scored many goals recently. I think it's 2 in 2 months, isn't it? But I knew United are going to get through it, and I'm telling you, Ten Hag's building something, man. I don't think some rival fans are seeing it. I do think Ten Hag will build something. There's still a lot of deadwood needs to go. It's an end of an era. I've seen that Phil Jones is leaving at the end of the season. Absolute end of an era, mate. But yeah, no, I think yeah, you guys are playing well. And I do think, and I've said this to all my Liverpool mates. I've said I generally think Liverpool are going to get top 4. Unfortunately, I do think Newcastle may fall out, and I don't know what it is. I think, as you can see, they have got a lot of draws this season, and I think that has taken to a part of it. But don't get me wrong, Eddie Howe has played some fantastic football, and oh my God, the respect I have for that man for taking Newcastle to where they've been, from a relegation battle to now possibly Champions League football or European football even. And I'd love to see Newcastle in Europe. They deserve it massively. If they're in the Europa League, I can actually see them probably even getting to a semi-final to a final, because I don't see them stopping. They're going to make some signings in the summer, and I do think that United are going to get that. I think they're going to secure Champions League. I don't see them dropping points, and I think you've got Bournemouth. Who are your next games, Orest? I think you've got Bournemouth.
We've got Bournemouth and we've got Chelsea and Fulham.
Yeah, Bournemouth, I think you get points out of. I think Bournemouth have sort of just steadied it now because I think they know they're safe in the Prem. I think you get points there. I think Chelsea, that's a free hit. Chelsea this season. So I think you'll beat them quite easily. And Fulham, yeah, that might be probably the toughest one, I'd say, out of them all. But yeah, no, I think we'll secure it. I do think Liverpool, which I think is crazy after the season they've had, I do think they will secure Champions League, because I'm not too sure about Newcastle. They've after when we beat them and then the draw against Leeds, I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, that United game was fantastic. You completely dominated. Fair play to Garnacho. Just come back from an injury and he scored again. And how was he? 19, 18, 19?
18.
You've got a real talent there, man. You've got a real talent there. And I do think he should be utilised in the next couple of seasons. And you got Amad Diallo killing it for Sunderland, by the way. Well done to him. He's absolutely killing. I really do hope Sunderland go through, but I think they're currently losing to Luton, I think, which is a shame, because I don't want to see Sunderland up in the Prem. But yeah, Garnacho, you got a talent there, man. But I just think in the case of United, it's just a case of just strengthening the team, getting the deadwood out. I will make a. Do you know what? I won't, because there's a player in the United side that I don't rate too much, and I feel like he was overpaid. I'm not too sure about Anthony. I'm not too sure. I think he hasn't. I mean, that Wolves game, he had a right stinker, didn't he? He was missing everything. I did feel bad for him at one point. But there's, in my opinion, Ten Hag's building something, and I do think that he will have you guys competing for league titles soon. And watch this space, because I do rate I wanted Ten Hag at Arsenal. I seriously did. I thought he was doing well with Ajax, and I did think he had the experience, and I really thought he was gonna. I thought, if Arteta just drop out, we could have got him. But obviously, you guys got him. But yeah, fair play to you. That game was fantastic against Wolves, and fair play to you guys. I think you will get Champions League next year.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I concur with that completely. And I also want to make a very special mention to the Wolves goalkeeper Daniel Bentley, who came in place of Jose Sarr. I don't know if Sarr was dropped for a poor performance. I'm not too sure, but Bentley came into the cauldron that is Old Trafford and actually had a really good game with some terrific saves from the likes of Jadon Sancho and more than a few others, which prevented the score from being a cricket score. But again, it was typical United dominance, and it's funny really because you should end up also in the top 4 in the Champions League places. I think third, you could end up securing third position if Newcastle don't implode. But then let's not forget that this has been a really jammy league all season. Just as Brighton were able to recover from that thrashing at the hands of Everton, with the manager saying the real BHA will please them show up. I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie Howe will give his lads a kick up the backside and say, Champions League is in your grasp. You need to seize the day, carpe diem, and take it. So we never know what might happen. Newcastle do have to play Brighton and Hove Albion, and I'm confident that Newcastle will give Brighton a much better game than we did. Brighton also do have to play Manchester City near the end of the season, so it's not too guaranteed that they will necessarily get the Europa League spot, although their games in hand will help. But they also do have to play an Aston Villa side managed by a certain Unai Emery. And I had to say, Oris, that when you said good evening, you almost sounded a bit like him. And I think Connor and I will agree that in as much as Emery's second season was poor and he had to go, we would happily take Unai Emery back at Arsenal, especially since he was the one who knocked us out at the Europa League semi-final stage to go on to win the trophy with the Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not too sure Connor heard that, but I don't know if he agrees.
Sorry, I was in another world. I've got the Inter Milan game on the other side. I was in another world. Sorry.
Yeah, I know the second half just started. It's goalless, isn't it? So, Inter 45 minutes away. And to think that Henrik Mkhitaryan, the ex-United and Arsenal midfielder, could be in a Champions League final. Oh, boy. Anyway, back to United.
Love seeing to win it. Yeah, love it. Yeah, sorry, go on, Manny.
No, I'm still going for Real Madrid, but if Real Madrid end up getting pipped, I wouldn't mind seeing Inter Milan.
Yeah, definitely.
Back to United. I actually would say that in some respects as well, when you consider the season that you've had with the whole Ronaldo kerfluffle and how he had to leave, I thought Ten Hag handled that perfectly. And I don't care what Piers Morgan says. That idiot is really another, pot stirrer, for want of a better word. Now coming up with this ridiculous nonsense on Twitter that Ronaldo apparently wanted to join Arsenal in January. Ha! No chance of that. And I think Ten Hag.
You never know. It could be true, It could be true.
Whatever it may be, I'm glad he didn't join our club. I wouldn't touch that guy with a barge pole. But Ten Hag certainly has steadied the ship in many ways, and of course, winning the League Cup has helped. And I don't care what a lot of people will say, that is definitely a trophy. So any Arsenal fans who see it fit to mug off you lot for not winning, for just winning that trophy, calling it a Mickey Mouse Cup, they need to really wind their necks in. And he's basically made it clear that he's stamping his mark on the club. I think the way he's dealt with the Maguire situation has also been good. And I think he's another player who has perhaps justifiably been a little bit scapegoated, and there could be some talk about how, United might have to move on from him. And I do believe that you've got to move on from certain players in that team if you really want to progress. And so coming to De Gea, I always say that fellow is the best shot stopper in the league, bar none. Even better than Aaron Ramsdale, because some of the saves that De Gea's pulled off this season and the seasons gone by have been absolute worldies. But in terms of his all-round play, I don't really see him exerting his dominance in the air too much. Maybe he has on some occasions, but this season I think he's been found a little bit wanting. He also, like a lot of other Spanish goalkeepers, has issues with his positioning at times. He has saved a lot of saved United in a lot of games, just as Ramsdale has saved us a lot of times this season. But just as Ramsdale has made more than a few errors, so has David De Gea. And I think, in as much as he deserves to be remembered as one of United's best ever goalkeepers, he's still not really at that level that the likes of Peter Schmeichel and Edwin van der Sar were. And if you want to go back, you could even look at the likes of Alex Stepney and Harry Gregg, who were really good goalkeepers in their time. But he might get a new one-year deal with a reduced salary and performance-based initiatives, but you will need to look for a new goalkeeper. And I've spoken about Harry Maguire. There are at least one or two other players who I'd like to see move on. I think Jadon Sancho, since coming back, has provided some really, really good moments, but I wouldn't mind seeing him sent out on another loan deal, maybe back to Dortmund, who could really use his services, and I'm sure he'd enjoy playing in the Champions League with them, if not with Manchester United. So you've had a more than decent season. It could have been better in some ways. I think Ten Hag is tactically a much smarter manager than Arteta, but he's also in some ways still trying to learn the ropes and really find out which team is his best team. He also needs to have a full squad overhaul if possible, and if he does, I think he's really going to start cooking next season. So given that we lost to Ten Hag at Old Trafford when he tactically, destroyed Arteta, we had better watch out, because Old Trafford will not be an easy place to go and win, and United will not be an easy team to beat, regardless of the dreadful results you had in your first two games. Sorry for bringing that up.
Yeah, no, it's fine. No, it's fine, man. Because I remember we lost our first two games, and then Ralph was like, "Oh, Ten Hag, this and that," and then a lot of obviously pundits of Sky Sports saying, and Jamie Carragher saying, "I don't think Martinez is like, listen, this Carragher, by the way. I don't know if you guys seen it, but I think it was last night when they Sky Sports, I think they told Carragher and Neville to do I think it's 99 United treble.
Yeah, United. Yeah, 99 United and Cities. Yeah.
Carragher to Grealish. Oh my god! Listen, Grealish ahead of Giggs. Are you having me on?
Oh yeah.
Like, okay.
I think there was a bit of rivalry there. I think a bit of rivalry there.
By the way, big up to Howard Webb for obviously releasing the audios and stuff from the.
Yeah, that was sick, and that's got to be done more, man. Because I see it in rugby. You actually hear them in the game. They've got the mic attached. Because at least then, because there have been some really bad decisions with VAR. At least now then, if you see that and you hear it, you can understand where they're coming from, and then you can actually really catch them out and see where they went wrong. So that audio thing is fantastic. Please do more of that.
100%, man, 100%. We definitely do need to see more of that, man. But it's about this league, man. It really is. But see, there's a lot of comments about Anthony. For me, listen. But the price thing, that's on United, because at the beginning of the transfer window, we could have got him for like 40-50 million, but instead, United wanted to spend 2 to 3 months on Frank de Jong, who never wanted to
I remember that.
So that was an absolute disgrace from the board, to spend 2 to 3 months on the player who even came out, I think it was around June time. Someone asked him about United, said, no, I love Barcelona. Barcelona's my family. So that United was a disgrace for that, the board and all of that. And then so United, we just had to spend 90 million on Anthony. I'm sorry, but United had to. And for me, I think he's crucial in our attack. Yes, obviously he hasn't the stats and all that, but I think when I look at him, yes, he could be doing much more. Obviously, he uses right foot and all that, but when people call him out, obviously one trick pony and all that, fidget spinner. I think that's a bit disrespect. But listen, I think Anthony. Listen, I think this is only his first season. Next season, listen, he will know that what his weaknesses was this season. And listen, I'm not going to rule out a player who's just coming from the Dutch league, and I can say that about Lisandro Martinez, but Lisandro Martinez for me, listen.
He's class.
Listen, Arsenal wanted him, right? Arsenal wanted him, but obviously
we did. And yeah, we did.
Oh,
I remember that. I can literally remember that. And I was thinking because I got my United mate. And he was like, "Sorry, Connor, you didn't get him." And I'm like, "Is what it is." And I do remember, come start of the season, everyone was having a go at him because he was 5'8" or 5'7". Like, oh, you can't do that you can't have that as a centre back. Like, you need a 6 foot, and he's proven him wrong. And I generally think if he stays fully fit next season, and I think he could have been on it this season. I think if he stays fully fit next season, United have a good season. I would put him up there as one of the best centre backs in the Prem because he's shown he can do it. And I'm not gonna lie, I was on the bandwagon of thinking, 5'8", will he be able to handle it? Like, will he be able to really cement his place? But there's been players and centre backs who have been in this position where they've been written off because of their height at the centre back role, and they've performed well. So he's done really well, and you've got to give it to him. And there's foundations in that United team. There's many foundations which can be built upon, which can be made into a great team. And it's worrying. As an Arsenal fan, it's very worrying. But yeah, I do think the Frankie de Jong thing did take a bit of a mick when it came with the Anthony deal. Because yeah, I agree. You could have got Anthony for maybe 40 mil, 45, 50. And unfortunately, it took that long for him to be bought. And it came to that price tag at the end of up to 100 mil. Yeah, with Anthony, it's a bit weird. I feel like he's got to definitely. It's difficult for a player to live up to a price tag because at the end of the day, the player doesn't pick the price tag. It's not his choice. It's down to the clubs. When I do watch some United games, I did watch the Wolves game the other day. I watched on Match of the Day. He did miss some crucial ones, and he's got to work on it. I think it is a big difference coming over from the Eredivisie over to the Prem, and we'll see if he can fit into it. I think he's a good talent. He's just got to work on his game, And eventually, what is he only 22? Is he 22, 23?
Yeah, 23. Yeah,
He'll work on his game, and hopefully he can come through. Let's just hope he's not another Nicolas Pepe, because that wasn't great. That wasn't great at all.
100%. But yeah, listen, I think
today with Nicolas Pepe, Con, and I think you've frozen for a bit, is because talent for us. So you could have, gone on and done some good things, but it's just a pity that, because of differences between him and the manager, maybe the manager not using him too well, maybe because Pepe, like other players, couldn't really fit into Arteta's system, hasn't really worked. But I'll tell you what, as Arsenal fans, there's no way we can
Oh.
out.
Yeah, so I was about to say that.
I
was just about to say that when it comes to Anthony, there's no way that as Arsenal fans, Connor and I could ever forget how he was able to get that ball on the right, make his way into the penalty area, and just slot it calmly past Ramsdale, who, in my opinion, could have done better for that and the other 2 goals that day. So I knew that Anthony had some promise, and obviously, in his first season, there will be some teething problems like everyone. I mean, Mykhailo Mudryk's having the same issues with Chelsea, but come the second season, when everything's settled down, they can start to cook, and that's going to be another point of contention, our poor transfer business. And, a lot of people were raving over Jorginho's performances and saying it's great that we ended up getting him instead of Caicedo. I'll tell you what, that fella's engine broke down horribly against Brighton, but it's just come to roost. And players like him, who are a bit long in the tooth, who don't quite have the stamina, those are the types of players we invariably end up getting, and it's going to cost us. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. But listen, Anthony, I have my patience with him. I really do, and it's the same goes with Malessa and all these other players that United, criticize him. But listen, hopefully, fingers crossed that we do get Qatar ownership. I don't. By the way, Ratcliffe, I don't call him nonsense of this nonsense. I call him a rat because he is a rat. And listen,
do you know what I find hilarious, Doris? With that, he says he's a United fan, but he wants. What's it called? Them what you've got now to stay as like a 50-50 or something like that, or he wants them for another 2 years. And I'm like, if you're a United fan, Jim, mate, you don't want them lot at the club. Still.
By the way, he's a Chelsea season ticket holder as well, so he can.
Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, listen, you should.
Isn't he the owner of Nice or something like that? Or what?
Nice fans, they don't like him. I was watching a show. A United fan did with Nice fan. Apparently, Ratcliffe left during the middle of a game in a cup game because he thought there was going to be traffic after the game. Like,
Wow.
for me,
Wow.
I'm not having this nonsense. And
I'll tell you what, those are the same excuses that the Arsenal fans probably used when they left the stadium on Saturday at the Emirates. And I'll tell
Mate,
you one thing,
Islington, man, Islington. Hey, it was packed.
and you might want to avoid Ratcliffe because he's a rat who might lead United over a cliff.
He will ruin United.
Oh, listen,
Absolutely
Ratcliffe, man, no chance. And I don't know what if people don't understand is if Ratcliffe does buy us, we'll be in more debt.
100%.
Because he's using a bank loan to buy us. With
100%.
the same with the Qatar, he's trying to clear the 100% debt. And obviously, he even said, thing is, what makes me funny is when obviously the first time Glazers said that obviously we're up for sale, and when Qatar was linked for us, they put a statement already saying, yeah, we're interested in Man United, and they said any income they make from the club, it will go straight back into the club. They won't take any income. With Ratcliffe, there's no statement from him. So with Ratcliffe, I think he only wants income and probably take some dividends as well. That's Ratcliffe. And if Ratcliffe was a bend with the Glazers, and absolutely no for me. So Ratcliffe, no. And by the way, those United fans are an absolute disgrace. You know those United fans at the games when they put up a hashtag no to Qatar, an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace. So that's all I have to say, because if you say no to Qatar, but you want Ratcliffe and you know that he's going to stay with the Glazers, it's weird for me. And people want to say sports washing and all of this nonsense. I mean, come on, man, let's be honest.
The future, unfortunately, all these big Qatari, Saudi Arabia owners coming over. There's
So
even
fingers
billionaires
crossed.
in America, Todd Bowley, America, like all these bits. It's not even just countries; it's just billionaires in general, just coming in. But it's like, but you see, unfortunately, I look at Jim Ratcliffe as a bit of a Todd Bowley in the sense he don't think he will really care as much, because as much as Todd Bowley spent money, I do think it's sort of just to pull wool over the. I do think it's just to pull a bit of wool over the Chelsea fans' eyes, because if you're spending 500 million, and I know the situation they're in, obviously Chelsea are in one of the worst seasons possible for them, and you spend that much money, if Todd Bowley keeps spending money, I don't think Chelsea fans will care. Honestly, I don't. Because before you know it, like we're talking about Declan Rice, 90 million. I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham keep raising the bid, and then in the end, Todd Bowley just goes there and buys him, because apparently Mason Mount's leaving, so they might want another midfielder. Expect Todd Bowley to spend more big money this summer, because you've got Nkunku coming in. I bet he's regretting leaving Leipzig now, because I wouldn't want to go to Chelsea in the state it's in right now. Yes, I do believe. Do you know what? With Pochettino, right, just to quickly go on it, Pochettino, I do think could do something at Chelsea, but something feels a bit off with Pochettino. I feel like, because, the time he had at Spurs, yes, he did get them to that Champions League final, and that was crazy. I remember watching that Ajax game, and that was just, as an Arsenal fan, I had to applaud it. Like that game was fantastic. I won't lie. Obviously, I was happy in the end that they'd lose the final, but I don't know. Something with Poch seems a bit odd. I don't know. I feel he could maybe get them somewhere, but I feel like Tuchel was the man, and they got rid of him, unfortunately. But yeah, I feel like Todd's going to ruin that club. I do think he's going to leave them in a whole load of debt and then walk out. That's what I'm thinking, the future of Chelsea, but that's just me.
100%. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you. And listen, mate, those United fans that want Ratcliffe, like, they should never, ever sing "We Want Glazers Out." We want. Listen, yeah, you can sing that, but you want Ratcliffe. It doesn't make sense. But let's see what happens, man. Because honestly, if we don't get no owners by summer, then we are screwed. Because transfer window opens in.
Oh yeah, you'd be screwed. Yeah,
4 weeks time, transfer window opens. So let's see. But yeah, we're just gonna do top 4 predictions, then we'll wrap up, because we're obviously we're going to talk about Man United Arsenal today. Right, I'll give mine. Obviously, City will win the league. City will win the league.
Shot for shot.
Third, I'll say Man United. Fourth, Newcastle. Manny?
Predictions. I just took a look at Newcastle's run-in, and will have been disappointed to have only gotten their ex-manager Allardyce's Newcastle, but the run-in they've got, They should be able to provide a better fight in the Brighton game, and then they've got to play a Leicester team that look absolutely doomed, and then they've got Chelsea who look absolutely dire. Newcastle should do enough in these last few games to secure that. I think it's terrific that Liverpool have made a mad dash for getting into the top four. But I'll tell you what, they're not Manchester City, and I think they're going to look back on their dismal away record this season as the thing which has cost them their chance of being in the top four. But they will get into the Europa League, and it'll be very interesting to see who joins them there. It could be one of Brighton or Aston Villa. My heart says it should be Aston Villa, but in my head, I think Brighton might just put them to the post, but you never know.
100%. Connor?
It's a bit of a... Well, obviously City, Arsenal. Cheers, Arsenal. You ruined it. Thanks for that. City, Arsenal. Looking at the table, looking at the run-in, I do think Liverpool are going to get top four, I think. And I am going to go with... And it's quite sad because I would like to see a bit of change and see Newcastle in the Champions League. But I agree with mate. I see the run-in, and it's going to be interesting. Actually, do you know what? Aston Villa, Southampton. I don't see them. Now Liverpool on a roll. Man United, I see getting through. I'm going to go for City, Arsenal, United, then Liverpool. That's my top four. It's sad because I want to see Newcastle get into the Champions League, but I don't know. Something in the back of my mind is telling me they might not. But either way, Europe for them is insane for that, how they've just been... Eddie Howe's taken them straight from the relegation battle to Europe. And in a sense, I think Newcastle fans will be happy anyway. But I think Europa League is a good start for them, definitely, if they don't get Champions League. Because I think Europa League, they could really elevate themselves and maybe even compete to get to the final, which we seem to not really do. So, that's my prediction.
There's a part of me, though, Connor, that actually thinks that for Unai Emery to take that Aston Villa team that were, floundering in the relegation zone under Gerrard and taken to European qualification, that's an even bigger story because don't forget, Eddie Howe had a clean slate this season. He got Newcastle to 11th the previous season, repairing the damage that was done under Steve Bruce. Not that he's to blame. I mean, it was unfortunate. But with Emery coming in, changing everything and taking Aston Villa to that particular to that position now, I think if Aston Villa do get into Europe, he would be my candidate for Manager of the Year.
Yeah,
in one season.
100%. Well, even when we played them against them, and then Jorginho scored that goal, and then we made it 4-2. They played us pretty much off the park. I thought, here we go, they're going to smash us here. Unai Emery's done a fantastic job, absolutely fantastic job, and he's another manager who I do think could do great things with Aston Villa as well.
It was disgusting. It was disgusting to see a lot of the top gooners mugging off Unai Emery and Emi Martinez after that game and saying, that's the stuff of champions. But I tell you what, games like that are fool's gold because come Southampton and Brighton, we were found out horribly. Yep.
And don't forget, Emi Martinez was the goalkeeper of the FA Cup final, and he had a fantastic period with us when Leno was out. And also, that was practically Unai Emery's team that took us to that final. So it's unfortunate that people let that kind of stuff get ahead of them. And just to quickly roll off that, probably finally, the Aubameyang situation when the Chelsea game happened, by God, the fact that all those fans booed him, I thought was a disgrace. That man carried our club on his back for 2 seasons. Got us that FA Cup, in my opinion. Literally practically won us that semi-final and the final. And in the end, yes, they did chant his name. Fair play to them. But the fact that he got booed originally, I thought, come off it. Like, yes, players go to opposite clubs. I mean, look at the stuff. Like, we've had players go to Chelsea and Arsenal. It is what it is. We had Jorginho for Chelsea, and you didn't really hear the Chelsea fans booing him, did you? Because he actually done things for that club, and the Champions League and all that. So it is what it is. People just got to firm it. Like, don't forget, one of the biggest ones was Sol Campbell going to Arsenal, with Spurs. So yeah, that was a disgrace in my opinion. But hey ho, top gooners will be top gooners, and you just got to deal with it. And just remember, people, we're not all like that. We're not all. It's just a shame that they've got to represent us, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, football obviously says big up guys, go stream now. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. He says both just as bad as Jamal. I wouldn't say Sheikh Jassim is a bad owner. Like I think he hasn't owned the club yet, so there's no evidence to prove that. But listen, Qatar is my number one.
Do you know what? At the end of the day, in my opinion, I think, I see there are some people that are complaining about it, and I get it. There's things behind the scenes that people don't like, and I completely understand it. But I think at the end of the day, I think we'd all take a Qatari owner, wouldn't we? Come on now. It's money at the end of the day. And
you guys want us to get reckoned?
I actually wouldn't, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Arab owners now, the problem with them is that they're starting to become a lot more commonplace in the Premiership and also in other leagues around the world. And the biggest problem with having that many people of that ilk there is that it's going to be saturated one day, and we're going to have a situation where practically every club who has the means of being able to do that will end up wanting one of those Arab billionaires who will expect nothing less. And I think what I'm trying to say is that Newcastle will also prove that having an Arab billionaire backing your club will not be a guarantee of success. And that is something that all I can say is that be careful what we wish for. We might just get it. One person I would have loved to have seen owning our club was the Spotify owner Daniel Ek, because it would be refreshing to sort of have a different sort of a perspective of an owner, someone like him, who also, as a Scandinavian, knew his football. The biggest problem is, regardless of whoever might want to buy the club, I don't see the Cronkies being willing to sell. So it's like the Arteta situation all over again. It's like we're stuck with the Cronkies until they decide to say, you know what, we don't need this and leave. We're still going to be stuck with them. And it's here that if the fans care about the club, they're going to have to realize that, you know what, the Cronkies are becoming more of the problem. They need to be out. What was the post that they had during Wenger's final days? Support the team, but not the regime. Well, the Cronkies are leading the regime. You've got to get them out and save our team. Simple as that.
Completely agree, man. Completely agree, man.
No, 100%. Yeah, even Ryan says agreed, man. But yeah, listen, we'll see what happens with United. With the ownership situation, should be fun, but yeah. But nah, man, we're gonna end it here. Have I missed any comments? Hold on a minute. Osimhen would be, I think, yeah. Honestly, I can't be honest with these songs.
Yeah. Everyone has a Morris. Everyone's got.
I'm not believing no more Kim and Jason, because I know we're linked to him today, but how am I supposed to get excited when we don't even have the ownership situation?
Yeah, don't forget, because let's think about it. We've got all of June, so you've got 4 weeks you've got less than that. You've got to be sorting out now, really, because pre-season starts just at the start of July, and Ten Hag's going to be focused on that. And you can't really be doing transfers while you've got pre-season going on realistically that hard. And then you've got the season coming up. So yeah, I'm pretty worried for United's transfer window. They got to get it sorted ASAP. Get their finger out the arse, because they got to sort it 100%.
100%. But yeah, man. Yeah, let's end it here. Manny, would you like to shout out your socials as usual?
Yeah, as usual, big up to Orist for having me on. Of course, I am a co-host here on this channel, but it's always good to come back and talk football. And I'm really glad that I was able to come on and offer my perspective. As an Arsenal fan, I had to come out and face the music. And, you know, the music actually wasn't...
Oh,
he's gone.
Oh, great.
Right.
Well.
Let me just see if I missed any, and then I'll get off to you, but I think she'll be back soon. Yeah. Congratulations. Yeah. We're up to Garnacho. Also, big up for getting the turkey teeth as well for the new contract. But yeah. I don't know if I missed it. But yeah, listen, Manny will be back. That was quite unexpected. But yeah. But yeah. Connor, do you wanna shout your socials?
Yeah. Wait for man to get back. Yeah, thanks very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It was a great show today, man. I'll definitely come on again if I'm invited. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm just a guy that just likes to speak his opinion. I'm on like TJ's channel. I'm on Jez's, Arsenal History and More. I go on Del Boy's channel a couple of times. So I'm here, there, and everywhere. I just like to voice my opinion on the club. I try to keep myself level-headed and try to think that I give an all right opinion, hopefully. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I do freelance editing work on the side. I've done work for a load of football fans, so feel free to check out my page. And yeah, I do stuff for people's channels like thumbnails, channel arts, logos. So if any of you guys in the chat or anyone on Playback needs any sort of editing work for their channel or design work, please feel free to hit me up on the Instagram DMs, and I'm happy to talk to absolutely anyone. And I'm looking to get up to 100 followers on there as well. So if you could go over and get me a follow, I'd really appreciate it. And Oris, thank you very much for having me on the show, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. Obviously, it's been a pleasure having you on, man. No worries, man. No worries. And also, Manny is back now, so let's retry this, Manny. Retry it.
Yeah, listen. I'm really sorry, but I think I got kicked out for some reason. The internet's also acting up now in addition to the electricity over here, so do forgive me. But big up to Oris for having me on, and you can catch me here on Oris Talks Football as one of the co-hosts. Always good to come on this channel and some of these streams and talk football. You can also catch me on several other channels on YouTube, mainly Arsenal fan channels. Big up to Del Boy Gunner TV. It was through him that I got to meet Connor, and I also got to know Oris, at least indirectly, through Del Boy. So, yeah, it's been terrific to have met so many people. Del Boy's always my first, my last for everything for that reason. And long may the friendship continue. Big up as well to Coach's Corner with Hanno Trollope, Tony Claude Gunner TV, Danny AFC TV, Up the Cherries in All Departments, which is the Bournemouth fan channel, Spurs U Asia TV, which is the Spurs fan channel. Yes, I go there, but I go there in peace. No banter or snide conversations. AFC Talk Show TV, Villa TV, several other channels which I can't really think of right now. Big up as well to Football United with Anthony Herbert. I will hope to go on his channel later on this week. Circumstances have dictated that I haven't gone on for a long time, but I will hope to go back again. Any more people who I haven't really been able to recognize, I'll send you a check in the post. But I always believe that whenever you come on to a stream and for a discussion, it's got to be respectful. If we can't agree to disagree without being disrespectful, then there's no point in having a discussion. So let's keep things respectful. Let's respect one another as football fans, and let's try and keep things civil, because we have to learn to coexist. It's as simple as that. So thanks a lot to everyone in the chat who's contributed. You're the ones who make this stream and our channel what it is. And I say our channel because I am a co-host and happy to be so. Enjoy the rest of your football. Champions League, Europa League in midweek. Some more Premiership and League action coming up in the weekend. Take care of yourselves. Stay happy. Stay safe. If you're in a hot climate like I am, stay cool. If you're feeling a bit cold, stay warm. Get plenty of water. Don't do anything that Connor, Oris, and I wouldn't do. And for now, it is time for me to depart. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, man. Big up Manny, man. Big up Manny as usual. And yeah, man. Big up the panel. Big up both of you, man. It's obviously good to see you, Connor, man. I'd love to make many more shows to come. But yeah, so Manny, it's been a long time. So big up to you, Manny. Manny, I thought you two, we're gonna call off sick tonight. So yeah, it's good to see you two.
Yeah, listen. Look, I called off sick the last time, but I wanted to make sure I kept my commitment. And look, as I said, do not ever say that I'm not prepared to face my music. You won't catch me in hiding, you see.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, man, listen. Make sure you guys have like and subscribe. Go follow Connor's social if you want. As I said, any banners, any thumbnails, hit him up. Manny, go follow him on Twitter, man. Always active on there, so follow him on Twitter and also on Instagram as well. So yeah, also follow us as well, Oris Football on Instagram and Twitter, Oris Footy. I think we'll be back tomorrow with the show that I've got with Hardeep, so do tune in tomorrow. And yeah, I will catch you next time. Peace.
Watch it, watch it, watch it.